Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every life where the soul must rise above circumstance and declare, this is who I am, this is what I will become, and not in the distant future, not someday, but now, today. Before the first brick is laid, before the first hand is raised, before a single result is seen in the outer world, belief is born within. And it is that belief, not circumstance, not luck, not timing, that becomes the true genesis of every reality we come to experience. Everything that now exists began as an idea, but ideas on their own are powerless. They come and go like leaves in the wind. What transforms an idea into a result is the unwavering belief that it must come to pass. Belief is the silent architect behind every fortune, every breakthrough, every mountain that's ever been moved by the human spirit. No man or woman ever achieved greatness by merely hoping. Hope is passive. Belief is active. Hope waits for signs. Belief moves before there is evidence. The mind that is steeped in belief does not ask if the vision is possible. It assumes that it is already on its way and begins to prepare accordingly. The mind is not just an observer of reality, it is a builder, and it constructs based on the blueprint of your dominant thoughts and deepest convictions. When belief is planted firmly in the subconscious, the entire nervous system begins to operate in alignment with it. Your eyes start seeing differently. Your ears begin hearing opportunity where others hesitate. Your feet move forward while others hesitate. Why? Because belief creates a sense of inevitability. People often look at the successful and say, they had something I didn't. And that's true. They had belief when others had questions. They had certainty when others sought permission. They acted with the authority of someone who already was who they intended to become. That belief shaped their tone, their posture, their daily decisions, and over time it shaped their world. Understand this. The universe does not reward the most talented, it rewards the most convinced. There are millions with ability, but few with conviction. Belief precedes skill because belief fuels the development of skill. Belief precedes evidence because belief gathers the courage to begin before the outcome is guaranteed. The human brain, when given a target soaked in belief, begins to conspire in your favor. It scans every moment for openings, patterns, and connections that align with what you believe to be true. What once seemed invisible becomes obvious. The fog lifts. The path reveals itself. But only when belief is present. Belief is not wishful thinking, it is a mental command. It speaks to the unseen as if it were already real. It refuses to bow to what is because it is already loyal to what will be. That kind of belief, the kind that does not flinch when the world offers no proof, that is the birthplace of all transformation. Confidence is more than just a feeling. It is a signal, a frequency. It broadcasts a message to the world that says, I am ready. And the world, in response to that signal, begins to move. People take notice. Circumstances shift. Doors that were once closed begin to crack open. Not because the person suddenly gained more talent, more resources, or more time, but because they showed up with a different energy. Confidence, when genuine and grounded in belief, becomes a magnet for opportunities. The average mind looks for reasons to hold back. It waits for validation, permission, or the perfect moment. But confidence does not wait. It walks into a room with presence, speaks with clarity, and moves with purpose. And when you move like that, others want to move with you. The employer wants to hire you. The investor wants to listen. The client wants to say yes. Not just because of what you offer, but because of how you carry what you offer. In a world filled with doubt, hesitation, and insecurity, confidence stands out like a lighthouse. It is rare, and because it is rare, it is valuable. The person who believes in themselves has already won half the battle. Not because they are guaranteed to succeed, but because they are already aligned with the energy of success. Confidence declares, I belong here, even when the environment says otherwise. And that declaration has power. Confidence is contagious. When others see it, they begin to feel it. People are drawn to those who exude certainty. They want to follow them, learn from them, collaborate with them. Why? Because confidence creates a sense of safety. It suggests that the person knows where they are going, that they are steady in the storm, that they can handle what's next. And in business, in leadership, in relationships, that kind of presence creates trust. Opportunities are not just found, they are attracted. They respond to posture. They seek out those who are prepared to receive them. And preparation is not just about skill, it is about energy, the energy of someone who expects good things to happen, who acts and speaks as though what they desire is not a wish, but a certainty. That mindset doesn't go unnoticed. People often confuse arrogance with confidence, but true confidence is quiet, grounded, and built from within. It doesn't need to prove anything, it simply is. It does not dominate the room by volume, but by conviction. It listens with intention, speaks with precision, and acts with conviction. That kind of confidence doesn't just inspire, it influences. When you carry yourself with belief in your ability, belief in your vision, and belief in your right to succeed, you change the way others respond to you. The job interview turns into a conversation. The sales call turns into a collaboration. The idea that once sat ignored suddenly gains attention. Because energy does not lie, and confidence is the most persuasive energy of all. Every action you take is a vote for the kind of person you believe yourself to be. Long before habits are formed, results are achieved, or goals are reached, identity takes the lead. It sits at the core of decision-making. Who you think you are shapes what you're willing to do, what you avoid, how you respond, and ultimately what kind of life you create. Behavior follows identity like a shadow follows form. You cannot outwork a self that resists the very thing you're trying to become. A person who sees themselves as a leader will speak, walk, and make choices through the lens of that identity, even before the title arrives. A person who views themselves as a winner will face setbacks with persistence because in their mind, the result is already settled. Identity isn't shaped by results, it shapes the results. It is the internal script from which all external action flows. When someone struggles to change, the real struggle is not with the task, it's with the self-concept. You can give someone a perfect routine, the best strategies, the smartest tools, but if deep down they still see themselves as undisciplined, unlucky, or undeserving, that inner belief will sabotage the process. The behavior might change for a while, but eventually identity will pull them back to match the story they've been repeating to themselves. The subconscious mind is always listening. It does not argue. It accepts whatever you consistently affirm. If you say, I'm not good with money, you will behave in ways that match that belief. If you say, I always quit, you will unconsciously look for an exit, even when you're close to breaking through. The words may be quiet, but the consequences are loud. Identity becomes the thermostat. No matter how much you turn up the hustle, if your internal setting is low, it will regulate your life right back to familiar territory. Change begins when you stop trying to earn a new identity and start embodying it. You don't wait for proof, you become the proof. You act as the person you intend to be. Not tomorrow, not after the result, but now. Every decision is a chance to reinforce a new identity. Every challenge is an opportunity to respond in alignment with that identity. With repetition, that identity becomes natural. And what once felt forced becomes automatic. When you believe at the identity level, effort feels different. Discipline is no longer a punishment, it's a reflection of who you are. You're not forcing behavior, you're expressing it. It flows from within. You no longer ask, should I do this? The question dissolves. You simply act because it's what you do. Not just once, not just when you're motivated, but as a pattern, a rhythm, a truth woven into your being. Before anything becomes real in the physical world, it must first become vivid in the mind. Visualization is not daydreaming, is not wishful thinking, it is mental training, a rehearsal of the future before it arrives. It is a disciplined act of planting a clear picture into the subconscious until it becomes so familiar, so detailed, and so emotionally real that the mind and body begin to respond to it as if it were already happening. Great athletes use it, top performers use it, visionaries, creators, leaders, all those who rise beyond the average practice this principle whether they know it by name or not. They see it before they live it. They walk through the experience internally because the mind cannot distinguish between something intensely imagined and something actually experienced. It records both as reality. So when you visualize with clarity and feeling, you're not fantasizing, you're training. You're rehearsing for the role you intend to master. The mistake most people make is waiting until they feel ready or until circumstances are favorable. But visualization allows you to flip the script. It puts you in control. You can mentally step into the version of yourself that has already succeeded, already made the decision, closed the deal, won the race, conquered the fear. The nervous system doesn't wait for permission. It begins adapting to the image you hold. This is why visualization works, not by magic, but by repetition and influence. When done consistently, it reshapes your confidence, sharpens your focus, and programs your actions. Think of a pilot in a simulator. Before flying a real aircraft, they practice hundreds of takeoffs, landings, emergencies, all in the mind and through controlled repetition. Visualization is no different. You can rehearse difficult conversations, see yourself walking on stage, imagine yourself remaining calm under pressure, visualize the outcome you want and the steps that will get you there. The more you do it, the more natural it becomes. The more natural it becomes, the more the body follows. And it's not just about seeing, it's about feeling. The emotional charge is what locks it in. You don't just picture success like a passive observer, you live in it. You hear the sounds, feel the air, sense the movement, experience the victory. You engage the full body in the experience. That's what builds the neurological pathways. That's what trains the mind to expect and therefore pursue what it already knows. You must hold the image even when nothing around you supports it, especially then. Because when you visualize with faith, you create from the inside out. The world doesn't shape your belief shapes the world. And when your inner world is saturated with clarity, with precision, with the identity of a person who is already living that vision, the actions required to make it real begin to surface effortlessly. Every defining moment in life comes down to a choice between two forces, faith or fear. One builds, the other destroys. One pulls you forward, the other holds you back. They cannot coexist in the same space because they come from entirely different places within the human spirit. Fear is rooted in doubt, in scarcity, in the obsession with what could go wrong. Faith is built on belief, abundance, and the unwavering focus on what must go right. And the direction you choose determines the quality of your decisions, your energy, your actions, and ultimately your life. Fear whispers all the reasons why you should wait, why you're not ready, why now isn't the time. It clings to the illusion of safety, disguising itself as logic, caution, or even humility. But underneath it all, fear is a thief. It steals opportunities before they can fully form. It delays progress. It keeps dreams small and goals buried. It doesn't need to be loud, it only needs to be constant. That low hum of hesitation is enough to keep most people from ever stepping into the arena. Faith, on the other hand, speaks a different language. It doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It moves in spite of uncertainty. It's not blind optimism. It's clarity under fire. It sees the invisible, believes in what has not yet been seen, and takes steps forward without needing a guarantee. Faith is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to act boldly even while fear still lingers in the background. Every person who has ever achieved something significant has done so by choosing faith over fear. Not once, but over and over again. They stood at the edge of risk and leaned into belief. They placed trust in their vision, their work, and their purpose. Faith fuels consistency when the results are still out of sight. It strengthens resolve when others doubt. It keeps the hand steady, the mind focused, and the spirit unshaken. Fear waits for evidence. Faith creates it. Fear wants to see the path before taking the step. Faith takes the step and trusts the path will unfold. The power of faith is that it does not require proof to begin. It is the proof. It is the internal force that gives a person the courage to speak when it's uncomfortable, to persist when others quit, to rise again after every failure without questioning the outcome, because the outcome is already decided in the mind of the person who walks with faith. Fear imagines the worst and keeps your energy stuck in survival. Faith imagines the best and puts your mind in creation. One leads to paralysis, the other unlocks momentum. The moment you begin to build your days on faith, the moment you start choosing it in your decisions, in your thinking, in your habits, fear begins to lose its grip, not because it disappears, but because it is no longer in control. Success does not respond to intention alone. It does not answer to desire, vision boards, or well-meaning plans left sitting in notebooks. Success responds to movement. Deliberate, committed, and consistent movement. Action is the first signal to the universe, to your own subconscious, and to the world around you that you are not merely wishing, but building. Without action, nothing changes. With action, even the smallest steps begin to stir the forces that shape your future. In the beginning, it will feel heavy. Starting always does. The mind will offer resistance, the body will hesitate, and your emotions will look for the easy way out. This is the law of inertia. A body at rest wants to stay at rest. But once motion begins, everything changes. One step leads to another. One call turns into a meeting. One rep becomes 10. The power of action is not just in the task itself, but in the momentum it generates. And once momentum kicks in, effort becomes lighter, clarity sharpens, and progress accelerates. Momentum is not built in a moment of motivation. It is built in repetition, in doing the thing you said you would do even when you don't feel like doing it, especially then. Because every time you act, even in the smallest way, you train your mind to trust you. You break the pattern of hesitation. You weaken the grip of procrastination. Action rewires your self-image from someone who tries to someone who executes. You don't need the whole plan. You don't need perfect conditions. You need movement. A single decision followed by immediate execution has more value than a week of overthinking. Too many people wait for clarity before taking action, not realizing that action creates clarity. It brings feedback. It exposes what works and what doesn't. It removes the fog by confronting reality. You learn more in 10 minutes of doing than in 10 hours of analyzing. Most people are stuck not because they lack ability, but because they lack motion. They wait for inspiration, not realizing inspiration is a byproduct of motion. You don't feel confident and then act. You act and build confidence through the motion itself. The mind gains power when it sees results, and results come through consistent effort over time. The faster you begin, the faster you improve. The more you repeat, the stronger your momentum becomes.